Reinforcements have arrived in the form of Steph Curry and Andre Iguodala. Warriors, riding a 5-game winning streak, head into Crypto Arena Sunday afternoon against this Lakers team, who now have beaten us 2 times in the last 2 weeks in quite convincing fashion. Now, styles make fights. We know this. You see Knicks, Celtics. This happens throughout the league, and stylistically, I think it's undeniable. This matchup bothers us for various reasons. Let's talk about Steph, though, in his return here. His rust, I think, showed up most on the defensive end when it comes to timing, on his rebounds, his box outs, his rotations. He was a step slow. There's no doubt about it. And it cost us in that first half him getting reacclimated. On the offensive end, spacing wasn't great, and we're going to talk about that in a second. And then Dennis Schroeder, who, again, styles make fights. He's part of this equation. The Warriors struggle with super quick guards, and he's one of them. And so while he's not known as a defender, his ability to stay attached, get through screens, and just be very quick and bothersome, not a great matchup for Steph trying to find his timing in his return. So there was that. But eventually he got going, and I think that if you want to take a silver lining away from Sunday's loss, it was that Steph eventually knocked the cobwebs off, found a rhythm, and got going. What did he have, 17, 19 points in that fourth quarter? Gave us a chance to win. Another silver lining, I think, was Andre. Look, I've been all season the first guy to tell you, hey, man, he needs to retire. Enough is enough. Like, what is this? And the question was never, could he still contribute? It was, can he still get on the court for a sustained amount of time? And so he got through one game, but I was surprised to see how effective he still is. I cannot lie. Defensively, when you look at his length and his size, his IQ, his quick hands, his KYP, knowing the entire personnel of the league, it allows him to still be a very effective defender and connect things, as Kerr likes to say. But the real question is offensively. The jumper, what did he take? 2 threes? Did he hit the rim? Did he hit the rim? I'm going to give him a pass for now. I understand that. But the question is he going to confidently take those shots that we need him to take? Because Draymond is going to make that extra pass. We can't have both of them out there passing up shots late in the clock, hot potatoing the ball. He's got to step in and take those with confidence. And to his credit, Sunday, he stepped in and took them. He just didn't make them. But that's the question. So both those guys in their return, I think, looked relatively good considering moving forward. But what I want to talk about is the bigger picture issue that I think the Lakers have exposed about this team and perhaps laid a blueprint for the rest of the league. In these 2 matchups, they've basically said, all right, Draymond, we're not going to guard you at all. Now, we've seen teams use this strategy in the past, and you say, okay, let's run those dribble handoffs high. Since there's no big there, they're going to, Steph, Clay, all our shooters are going to come off. Yeah, that's one way to counter it. It depends on the rest of the personnel. And the Lakers all of a sudden have a lot of athletic guards that can still kind of stay attached, right? But the real key to it is Anthony Davis and his ability to hover and really be the best free safety in the NBA, protecting the rim, mucking up the spacing. But then the real catch that really makes this a problem is not only did they give Draymond that treatment, you saw it, they gave Kuminga the same treatment. And so Draymond down the stretch here, playoff games, pretty much the rest of the way, if you want to really consider it, you imagine he's going to play upwards of 35 minutes a game. How many minutes does that leave for Kuminga? 12, 13 minutes to have an impact? Because if teams are going to deploy that strategy to Kuminga as well, now Kuminga and Draymond, they can't be on the floor at the same time. Ironically, what was the last video I put out here on YouTube? It was Patrick Baldwin Jr. could unlock Jonathan Kuminga. Well, if Patrick Baldwin Jr. could unlock him, Draymond is locking him from the rotation. I know a lot of people were upset with the amount of minutes Anthony Lamb got in his final eligible game as a 2-way player, but I think the Warriors, their hand was kind of forced with the way the Lakers were defending. We had to have someone that could space the floor and pull the Lakers defense out, especially with arguably the best rim protector in the league. I know who else can you? Rob Williams, tip of a cap to him. It's subjective, but he's one of them, right? So to have him hovering and lingering, that was the issue. I will say this: not many teams have a guy like that. I think if other teams deploy this strategy at Kuminga, he will probably be more comfortable sucking up that runway with his momentum and athleticism and trying to get to the rim. But AD was not having it. And so how do you counter that? It's just a tough situation here that I'm concerned, again, is going to be copied with these other teams throughout the league, given they have the personnel. Do you just green light Kuminga from the three-point line? You know, he shoots it in the corner a little better. Off the dribble, do you want him taking it? You know, when you look at the eye test with Kuminga, it's not that the shot is broken. What I would say is the release point is funky, where it almost is it blocking his vision at times. You'd like it to either be a little higher or a little lower. It's kind of like right in his vision on his forehead. And then when I have slowed down his free throw, the hand placement can be an issue. There's a little wobble on it at the top at times. But actually, I do think that his best jump shot is in the mid-range. And so moving forward, Kuminga himself, but the team has to be mentally prepared for him to be getting guarded like that. And I think they have to green light the mid-ranger. The three ball, I'm not sure how I feel about that. That's a fine line of how many you want him to take, you know. But the mid-ranger, suck up that space, get there. He has the pump fake game. We've seen that already. And that mid-ranger, I think, can be a high percentage shot for him and take that defense mechanism away from other teams. But it's an ongoing issue. Draymond was aggressive cutting to the basket. Can he start to shoot the three? That ultimately, listen, both of those guys are going to have to threaten the defense enough from the perimeter. Otherwise, they're not going to be on the floor at the same time. And we're already shallow in the front court, right? No Andrew Wiggins. Andre, is he going to stay healthy? That's I guess, the other topic of conversation here. Now that Lamb is ineligible, you heard Steve Kerr openly campaign for them to add him to that roster spot. But you could also make the argument, well, if Andre is finally healthy, then he takes those minutes. And I know that there's going to be a contingency of the fan base that's like, listen, Kuminga has to play 20 to 25 minutes regardless of the scenario in the defense. But that's a tough bargain, right? Because there's no room for error. If they were sitting pretty in third place and they, you know, it was this, every game again you got to win. And so I don't know what the answer is. And I don't know what the answer is as far as Lamb in that roster spot. It does feel like if we are healthy, we don't need him. But that's a huge if. Still no news from Andrew Wiggins. And we know Andre, he has released more podcasts in the last 2 seasons than games played. I'll put it to you like that, right? So, yeah, Steph's back. Hopefully Wiggins soon return. I was impressed with Andre, but they're going to have to figure out this spacing issue because Kuminga, I agree, we need him 20, 25 minutes at the very least, but that's going to be more and more difficult as teams copy this blueprint and refuse to guard both he and Draymond. The mid-range could be a solution, or, hey, maybe just get more prolific from three. Here's something that I don't think people understand unless you hoop. This is a real thing. When you may feel confident in your shot, like, all right, I'm a pretty good shooter. If Steph and Clay are out there with you, to have that same confidence is not nearly as easy, right? When you're around super elite shooters, it puts hesitation in some guys' shots. Now, Kuminga hasn't really shown that. I'm not saying that that's affecting him, but you have to consider that. And I don't have a solution for it, but I'm interested to see what the counter is going to be moving forward because I think we're going to see it the rest of the way. Now, I had someone in the comments say, hey, man, where's your next video? It's been 5 days. Well, the Warriors have played 3 games in 4 nights over the weekend. And if I try to get on here as much as possible, but if you want more of my content, my Patreon is a breakdown of every game the next day. And once you see the level of detail and effort I put into those videos, I think you would understand why sometimes I have these blocks of days where I can't get on YouTube. That it takes me, all morning and into the afternoon with nonstop work to get these breakdowns out. And so that's why there's these gaps. I'd love to hop on here every day and give you this content. And I'm going to try and do more and more here. But sometimes if you see a big block of Warrior games together, you may not see me here on YouTube. Check the Patreon out. It's as low as $1 a month to get all those breakdowns. So think about that. Thunder tonight, smaller team, probably won't have that issue. with them as far as blueprinting it because they don't have the rim protection to deploy that strategy. But nonetheless, it's going to be a competitive, tough game. Is SGA out? They're just gamers. It's the thing I like about the Thunder is, well, I guess you can no longer consider them tanking, right? They're competing for a playoff spot. But at one point, when you look at Houston, San Antonio hasn't been doing it that long, but like Detroit, at a certain point here, you have to teach winning habits. We talk about, wobbling for Wemby and all these things, and that's the issue I see with Houston. Now I'm going on a rant about that G League team, right? But the habits are not being set moving forward. And so, yes, tank, get another high pick, but these young guys now are developing all these bad habits that, what's the phrase? The cat's out of the bag. Like, it's going to be very hard to, reel those habits back in and teach them, quote, winning basketball. Those have to be instilled from the very start with young players, regardless of the big picture situation of trying to win games in a season. And that's what I like about the Thunder and what they've did. And part of it, I think, is just who they've drafted, right? They have a type. We know they like bigger, athletic guys, but they also like super competitive players. And so they just have a bunch of guys that compete super hard to go along with kind of a college-like atmosphere and program there. So they're on the rise, and it's not going to be easy tonight in Oklahoma City. I'll be back with the patron breakdown for that one tomorrow. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.